McConnell and Andy's opinion of Asmon after Blizzard CEO calls him out.
Do you think that he meant it to be lighthearted, but everyone just kind of ran with it?
I mean, in my opinion, okay, and I can say this because I've known Asmon for over a decade.
Andy says Asmon is an asshole.
Andy Milanakis in here talking shit? What the fuck? He's not. No, he's not wrong. Of course.
If the shoe fits, I mean, you know, listen, he doesn't play retail. Asmon doesn't play retail.
I haven't played retail.
He reacts and plays weeb games. So I don't know where his expertise of the game is coming from these days. I know he had decent parses in Legion, okay?
And Cataclysm. And Mists of Pandaria. And Warlords of Draenor. And Legion. No, I stopped raiding after that. Just
but that doesn't translate to what he knows about the game today.
Yep. All right.
As much as I would love to back him up, okay? He is my friend. Yeah. I'm just saying, you know, it's not there anymore.
Yep. Who's getting a hate thread now, motherfucker? Clip that
shit. Here's the truth. What the fuck has changed? Everybody always talks about this like I don't know what the raids are like now. What's changed that I just don't understand? I don't get it. Because, like, it seems like it's kind of the same stuff. I mean, I've done Vault of the Incarnates multiple times. How many times do I have to do it? How many times do I have to do Aberrus? See, here's the problem. So I'm in a situation where I literally can't win. Because if I go and I do the raids now, people will say I got carried. If I did the raids before, people will say that I'm a hardcore player, I'm so invested into the game, I'm not the normal audience, so my opinion doesn't matter. If I don't do the raids, then people will say that I'm not qualified. I think people just don't want to listen to what I'm saying. I think people just don't want to hear it. They don't like what I'm saying. Because you know what? It doesn't matter how long ago I did the raids because I'm still right. I'm still right. The same problems that existed in the game 7 years ago still exist now. You still have to run back to the bosses every single time. You still have to clear trash, and I think too much of it. You still have to have all of your gear invalidated multiple times a year, whenever previously you would only have to do that once in expansion. You still have to rebuff. You still have to get a food buff every time. You still need a warlock to summon. This didn't change, and I'm not wrong. Now, I understand that a lot of people say, oh, it doesn't matter, right? Whatever. Listen. I would like to hear people that have actual arguments against what I'm saying. And add-ons, yeah. Do people still use 5 different add-ons to raid? Let's look right now.
Actually, you know what? Be lighthearted.
I can check right now. I can, actually. Let's look right now. That's true. Let's see. Is there somebody doing Aberrus right now? Aberrus raid. That's no... Oh, nobody's doing the new raid. Oh, there we go. This is Sarkarath. Okay, so let's see.
Can we get a quick boss reset, guys? Want to use a quick boss reset?
Oh, a boss reset. Why do we have to do boss resets? For hero? Well, why doesn't hero just reset as soon as you engage the boss? Why doesn't it just reset every cooldown? I just don't... I don't want to have to run back to bosses anymore. I don't want to have to wait for a warlock to summon. I don't want to have to rebuff in front of a boss fight. I don't want to have to reset a boss for heroism or for any cooldown. This is just stupid. And I think the game has all of these vestigial systems that other games have already solved problems with. And it doesn't matter how long I don't play the game, because all of these things are still problems. Now, Blizzard might have improved them slightly and made them slightly less inconvenient, but something that's slightly less inconvenient is still inconvenient. So why does it exist in the first place? Why is it there? Well, because it's always been there? Well, that's not a good enough reason for me. So I can take I can not play the game for 10 more years, and I can guarantee you probably at least half of these problems will still be there. I personally think too much quality of life is too much. Okay, well, which one is too much then? Like, instead of talking about a theoretical, like, which one do you not want to have? What's worse, the dev response to all these tedious issues is to get good. Yeah. I mean, like, I'm not really criticizing, like, I think Mythic rating, like, there's a lot of issues with WoW that are kind of systemic in a way. Whether it's, like, you know, like, how the community reacts to Mythic rating. Like, why is Mythic rating not cross-realm as soon as the first guild in the world kills the boss? At the most. And really, why is it not cross-realm right from day one? I find Classic dog shit, but a lot of beauty in Classic comes from the lack of quality of life. Well, it also comes from the quality of gameplay, right? Rather than, it's not quality of life, it's quality of gameplay. But like the gameplay that is created by having to run back to a dungeon, or sorry, run back to a boss after you wipe, it's just not fun. And I don't want to waste time playing a game that wastes my time. Not gonna lie, your fixation on Warlock summoning is out of pocket. Getting to an instance has never been easier, and there's a stone just outside the instance. Yeah, I think it's a big deal. I don't want to have to do that. It's annoying. I don't want to have to zone out to do that. I think it's ridiculous. It's a ridiculous waste of time. Well, world buffs would probably be the biggest example of an unfun mechanic that adds to the open world. Well, world buffs are fun. That's why people like using them. They like getting all the world buffs and blowing up the bosses. It feels good. Like, getting the world buffs is a chore and it's annoying. Yeah, sure. But it allows you to destroy bosses really fast. So I think that there's like a trade-off, whereas like being able to summon into an instance isn't really a trade-off. It's just annoying. Being overpowered is cool too. Yeah, it sounds really cool. It feels really cool too. Came from a guy who hasn't rated enough to be annoyed by Warlock summoning. Yeah. Not to mention half the people don't go to the store and it makes it even longer. Yeah, exactly. And then like you have to have 2 people go there, and it's just it's silly. Hot take: every third boss room should have an instant summon mechanic. This is what they need to do. They need to just have you respawn in front of the boss that you wipe to. Have everybody respawn right there in front of the boss. Have food buffs persist through death, just like flasks do. Just like Final Fantasy. Because it's better. Final Fantasy is better in that regard, and that's all there is to it. Every single cooldown should reset whenever a boss dies, and a boss also should reset cooldowns upon being engaged. It should reset every cooldown for every character. And it should also clear existing buffs, like, so you can't pre-buff and then, you know, like, have 2 of them, one after another. And so, they should do that. Absolutely. There are many bosses that already have mechanics like that, so they guaranteed have the technology for this. And they should also have a summoning stone in front of every boss, like a stake of Marika, like in Elden Ring. I agree, but for most, but resetting CDs on pull will allow for some degen abuses. But, like, I don't care about that. I don't want to have my game be annoying and unfun to play because 7 people are trying to compete for parses on a third-party website. I don't want to have the game be handicapped because of that. Like, I don't know what you want me to say. Like, I don't want to have that happen. If you clear trash, unlock boss summoning stone. Sure, but like you shouldn't even have to clear as much trash. Why are people still defending the tedious gameplay loop? What's wrong with just wanting to skip the wait times and want to raid? At this point, I don't really care. If people have this opinion about WoW, that's fine. They get what they deserve. That's, yeah, people, like, again, it's just shit eaters. That's all there is to it. Just shit eaters. Do you think Ian is the reason why the game is so complex now? Absolutely not. Ian might be a symptom of that, and I would not be surprised if he wasn't. But I don't think that it's Ian's fault. Absolutely not. There are a lot of people that make decisions for WoW, and a lot of people are involved with it. It's not like it's one person that's ruining the game. It's the same thing with add-ons. Like, I don't want to have to download a bunch of add-ons to raid. Well, they want you in the game longer? Well, they don't, though, because, like, I don't want to, I don't want to play a game that's annoying and waste of time. You're just plain wrong. It's not shit-eating. Quality of life makes success feel worse. Did you play Elden Ring? I didn't, but I want to. That's what he said in chat. Okay. Looks great. It is. You definitely should play it. World of Warcraft was a massive success. One of the big reasons why it was a massive success is because of how many quality of life features it actually added. Like, for example, it added no experience loss on death. It added seamless travel without loading screens. It also added like a number of like weird issues that like old MMOs had. Like you had to group with people in order to do things. You could play solo in WoW. Isn't, by your own definition, EverQuest more rewarding than World of Warcraft then? If you think quality of life makes the game less rewarding? That's what he says. Those are great points. I love this quality of life. It's not that I'm against quality of life. It's just that, for example, boat traveling was a social experience for me, and I like the RP elements. Also, Warlock summons were awesome. Well, what if you don't have a Warlock? Like, do you think that, like, so... And this is kind of what the issue is with this, is that, like, whenever you don't have a Warlock, well, now you have to waste a tremendous amount of time. And by the way, I'm talking about retail WoW. Like, I'm not talking about classic WoW. I don't think that they should get rid of Warlock summons in classic WoW. It's a totally different game with a different set of expectations and everything like that. Where the Warlock doesn't have stones. Basically, I feel like things like getting your character inside of an instance don't really make sense to be a metagame inside of WoW. I don't think that they add any interest. I don't think they add anything other than tedium and monotony. I don't think they add any value at all. And I don't like this idea that quality of life, for some reason, is a bad thing. I think that, to an extent, quality of life can make a game feel less fulfilling. But I would say that there's also people who think that the quality of life, that and it's not even really quality of life, but just like the difficulty of classic raids make them less rewarding. So it really depends. Can we at least agree that a lot of quality of life that people wanted led to more quality of life that have taken the soul out of the game? Like you're destroying the RP and MMORPG. Not all quality of life is bad, but retail is the result of too many quality of life added for complaining lazy fucks. I'm sure there are instances of that. Guys, I think that we're really... Like, yes, I'm sure that's true. Like, yeah, for example, like making like really easy raid difficulties. I agree with that. But I'm talking about not having to wait around and spend half of my time in a raid buffing for a raid and getting ready to do a boss. It's not fun to spend a 4-hour raid and an hour of that time is spent on the logistics of getting the people to the boss. You don't raid, though. That's why I don't raid. That's my whole point. Why the fuck would I raid if it wastes that much of my time? Classic is worse, but it's not, because every boss is a joke and you one-shot all of them. That's why Season of Mastery died. It's because people had to actually spend time wiping and running back to the classic raid bosses, and they quit the fucking game because it was garbage. That's the whole reason. To think about it. Raid time is already limiting enough? I agree, yes. Holy fuck, man. Yeah, to me, I understand why you might like Warlock summons and stuff like that. I totally understand that. But to me, I also... Your take is true on Season of Mastery. My issue with Season of Mastery is that we got the same rewards, but we had to play with the same idiots. Yeah, well, that's kind of what happens in retail WoW, too. Is that what you're saying is that once the difficulty of content becomes so high, it becomes not rewarding. And that's what it is. It takes 10 seconds to rebuff. It's not a significant amount of time. So if it takes 10 seconds and you wipe 20 times, how long is that? That's like 3 minutes. And what if it takes 20 seconds? Well, then that's 6 minutes. That's your fault? Okay, well, I don't want to play a game that has that as a fail state. Yeah, I just don't want to waste my time with that. It's that simple. Like, I really don't, I don't think it's really not that complicated to me. The reason why I don't raid in WoW is because I think that it's a colossal waste of time and it's not fun. It's that simple. I don't think that it's fun to get a big raid of people together, to have 1 or 2 people make a mistake and cost everybody their time. I don't think that it's fun to have metagames like having to summon people into the instance, and if you can't, it takes a bunch of extra time. I don't think it's fun to have to clear trash mobs for 5 or 10 minutes to get to the next boss. I don't think that it's fun to have to rebuff and run all the way back to the boss after you die. I don't find these things fun. I find them tedious, and every single time that I have to do them, I feel like I'm wasting my time. And these things haven't changed in retail WoW. And it seems like they're not going to. So I don't really care about what you think quality of life would kill the game, because I'm talking about my perspective on the game. This is how I feel, and this is why I don't enjoy raiding in WoW. Straight up, like, I don't think this is fun, and I don't want to do it anymore. I used to care about it more, but I don't. And I think that there's a lot of people that feel the same way that I do. They also don't like to go into a 4-hour raid and have 1.5 hours of that raid spent on some logistical challenge that exists in the game for no reason. I don't find it fun, especially not whenever you have no autonomy over the loot that you get. Like, you can't master loot. Like, I saw that in the thread about this, people were saying that I was stupid because personal loot got removed. It didn't get removed. You just do the random roll yourself. The loot is functionally assigned to you, and you cannot assign loot to another player unless every single person in the group passes on that item. So you can't functionally have master loot in the way that it exists in Classic WoW, which is basically the point of it. So you don't have personal loot, but you functionally have personal loot. Like, loot in WoW right now functions the exact same as loot in Shadowlands. I agree for pug raiding, but would you agree guild raids are much different? Why would I care? Why would I care about, well, what if I'm not in a guild? So does that mean I just have to waste an extra hour and a half? I don't understand. So, like, now... So now people, like, that aren't in a guild, like, have to waste a huge amount of time raiding? Okay, that's... alright. That's fine. Well, then I don't want to invest into a guild because it takes too long. So I guess I won't play the game. People care so much about my opinion on these different issues that they are fucking just out of their mind that I don't see the game the way that they do. But yeah, that's exactly why people wanted LFR. Do you think LFR was great then? LFR, the main bad thing about LFR isn't the fact that it's a raid, it's the fact that the raiding gear from LFR invalidated previous raid tiers. That's why it was bad. It's like, yeah, of course it was cool, like, being able to see the Lich King if you were really good at the game, sure. But, like, the main bad thing about LFR is that the game gave you gear for LFR that was so good that it made doing anything else below that a complete waste of time. It's, again, people that don't really understand the game trying to, like, counter me on these points, and they don't even understand what they're saying. I don't understand why they say not finishing the raid makes your point invalid. The reason why they say not finishing the raid makes my point invalid, it's because they can't make my point invalid by disproving it. So instead of attacking my argument, they attack me as a person because they don't know why I'm wrong, other than the fact that maybe I'm bad at the game, as if this is some sort of a fucking accusation. Like, it's this is like a personal attack. Like, wow, you're not good at a video game. Who the fuck cares? It's a video game. Number one. And number two, most people aren't good at the game. So doesn't that make my point better? If I'm bad and most people are bad, well then, don't I have a perspective that resonates with most people? What the fuck? Just say you don't want to play WoW anymore, that's okay, but stop making this up? Okay. Alright. Alright, what part am I wrong about? I don't want to do this for that long, okay? So, like, let's just... Can you type this out quick? Yeah, let's go. Yep, go ahead. Go ahead, explain yourself. I think it's because you attack them, calling them shit eaters, and they get defensive. Then stop eating shit. Stop eating shit. The difference is that, like, whenever I call them shit eaters, then after I call them shit eaters, I explain why they're eating shit. And I explain why what they're eating is shit. See, that's the difference. I feel like, oh, is this it? I feel like you make stuff up for no reason, though. Things have been in the game forever. So do you think that because something has been in the game for a long time, it should stay in the game? So what you're saying is you don't want the game to evolve at all. It's like, well, the game is bad now, so it should always be bad. So, like, for example, you used to not be able to summon people inside of raids. Like in Classic WoW, you actually would have to go outside of a raid to summon people into a raid. You think they should change that back, right? Because, like, that used to be in the game, and now it's not. No one said it bad, but now you say it's bad. Is English your first language? No, Icelandic? Okay. Maybe there are things that are getting lost in translation. A lot of people have complained about these problems. That's why some of the problems have been changed over the years. And also, people's tastes change and the way that people approach video games change. I think also being able to see games like Lost Ark and Final Fantasy approach this problem differently gives different perspective to how the problems exist in current WoW. And I think over time, people have become less accepting of problems that exist in current WoW because other games have solved them and made them better over time, whereas World of Warcraft hasn't. They haven't solved any of these problems. And in fact, they've just ignored them. And it looks bad whenever every other game doesn't have issues like this. Not every other game, but at least a number of other games don't have issues like this, but World of Warcraft does. Put me on blast, I'll knock you off your echo chamber. What do you have to say? Okay. All right, thank God. Let's go. We'll have one more argument, and then we're going to move on. Okay. Got stuff out of WoW. You want to take 8% of the population because it's just raids with the boys. That's because you don't actual raid. So you want WoW to have the same gear all expansion. Okay, so what part of what I'm saying isn't true? What part of it isn't true? Who made the account to troll you? Yeah, but he did it 5 months ago or 4 months ago. I'll let it slide. Finally, Reddit will admit Asmon doesn't pick and choose viewer complainers. No, people always think that they always think that I pick the dumbest person because they think they're smarter. That's what it is. All the stuff you want to take out of the game are all social aspects of it. So you think running back to the boss is a social aspect that makes the game better? Because I don't think it does. And also, wouldn't loot council and being able to have personal loot or not have personal loot be a social aspect as well? What about add-ons? What about add-ons that make it to where that you can communicate with another player by the add-on computing an outcome and then telling you how to react to it without computing that? Because, in fact, that's the exact opposite of a social aspect. It's removing a social aspect. All you do is raid with viewers and not with an actual guild. So what you're saying is that all I do is pug. What do you think most people do in WoW is? Most people pug. That's why Wrath of the Lich King was so successful, is because the raids were pretty easy and people could pug them. That's why GDKPs are so successful too and so popular. It's because they happen at different times and people can come and go as they choose. Or not GDKPs, people can't really come and go. But they don't have to like make a multi-week commitment. Because you are raiding with the boys. Okay, so what's one of the things that you want to see me take out of the game? Or sorry, what's one of the things that you think that I'm wrong about taking out of the game? Yeah, like an example. Like one thing that you disagree and you think it should stay in the game. The less trash in summoning. Summoning is only a problem with pugs, not an actual guild or a group you actually raid with. Okay, so you think that more trash is better? So you like clearing trash in raids? Because, like... So, number one, I don't think trash is a social aspect of raiding. I think it's just a waste of time. And yeah, I do think that you should have less trash. I think it's a waste of time. A good example of a lot of trash that's too much is the trash on the way over to the second boss in Vault of the Incarnates. The Primalist Council, where you have to fight like the 3 packs of guys and then the big guy and then the group of the fucking those like weird Dothraki guys, wherever the fuck they are, and then you have to fight each individual elemental. Like, that's a huge waste of time, and I spend more time doing that than I do doing the boss. I think that's disproportionate, and I don't like spending more time doing trash than doing a boss. I think that trash can serve a purpose by teaching players the mechanics of the boss. I do. I think that's interesting. And, like, you see a little bit of that in new raids, and I think that's good. But you don't need to have a bunch of trash packs that are just one pack of AoE farming after another for no reason. I don't think this adds any value to the game, and it just takes extra time. In terms of summoning, summoning is only a problem for pugs. Well, that's why it's a problem, in my opinion. I don't like the idea that pugs should be artificially handicapped because of a mini-game that's created by Blizzard. It's a huge waste of time, and it's annoying, too. It just makes the game less fun. It's not like the fight is harder, it just takes longer to do the fight. It's the worst type of difficulty that you could possibly have. A group that you actually raid, like, I think that most people pug. Or if they are raiding, they're raiding with a very casual group of people. So what you're saying is that convenience should only be available for people that play the game very, very extensively. I would say that's even backwards logic, because the people that are more casual require more convenience because usually they don't have as much time to play the game. So whenever you intentionally make the game inconvenient for people that don't play a lot, then I think that you harm the people that not being able to have something be convenient, you harm them the most. Trash is fundamental cooldown for the next boss where you talk, and less take a breather after wiping for 3 hours. But what if you don't wipe for 3 hours? Why can't you just wait at the next boss and take a breather? Why can't you just, like, say, okay, guys, let's take 5 minutes before this boss and, you know, be back in 5 minutes? And have you ever thought that maybe you wouldn't be wiping for 3 hours if you didn't have to rebuff and summon and run back every pull? Maybe you'd only be wiping for 1 hour, so you wouldn't have needed the cooldown in the first place. For someone who's supposed to take you off your echo chamber, they're doing a terrible job. Of course they are. Most of the people who think that I'm in an echo chamber are just mad because I don't indulge their stupid opinion. I listen to people who disagree with me all the time. I just think that they're stupid and they're not worth taking seriously. Like, that's the reason. Like, I listen to people who have different opinions constantly. You're literally in Truer's echo chamber, though? How can I be in a Truer echo chamber whenever I literally have somebody on the screen who says that I'm in an echo chamber and they say that I'm wrong about everything? Like, how could I possibly be in an echo chamber? It doesn't even make sense. Did this person leave the chat? I think he did. He took off. I tried to add him. Some people see it fail whenever they see that you're open-minded. Yeah, and this is the problem, right? Is that a lot of people always have this type of energy, right? Where they're like, I'll knock you off your echo chamber. You want WoW to have the same gear all expansion. Like, it's just these, because you don't really rate. Like, I mean, again, these are people that are like borderline illiterate. That I baited you and wasted your time. I stroked his ego. No, you didn't. You weren't pretending to be stupid. You're just stupid on purpose. You blocked me on Twitter. Oh my god. Oh my god. You're not baiting me. You're just being stupid. I'm not trying to call you a hypocrite, but I'm confused about you saying Mythic needs to be easier, but also you don't need to be good at WoW to get cutting edge. Yeah. So basically, I think that if I were to rate my skill at WoW, I'd say I'm like a 7 or an 8. But I think that you could be like a 6 or a 5 and get cutting edge. But the problem is that most players are a 2 or a 3. Does that make sense? You're maybe 3 or 3.5? No, there's no way. Like, you're saying like every 5th person is like better than me? No way. I would say like 7 or 8. You're really 3 out of 10 or 4 at most. I think that if people think that, they haven't played with... Listen. I rated in Classic WoW. Okay? I don't want to hear about how I'm a 3 out of 10. If you think I'm a 3 out of 10, you haven't seen a 3 out of 10. I know that there's a lot of WoW players out there who want to insult me or talk shit about me because I don't play the game as seriously as I used to. You're right, I don't. I have better things to do with my time. And it doesn't matter what you call me. It doesn't matter what you say. I'm still right, and time will prove me right. So you can attack me as a person or attack my credibility all you want, but just know, and I'm sure you do know, deep down inside, that the reason why you're attacking me is because you can't attack my argument.